New intro. It's the one who doesn't stretch pennies, but stretches limos. The gorgeous gangster, the handsome hustler, the Don, the idol of James Bond, Fax Kellerman, Marquette Devon, Burton, the saint and the sinner. Giving you lessons from people have been saying, Quat, you're friends with Fresh and Fit. They've been doing some weirdo stuff. Why you ain't say nothing? Well, Saints, today's the day. If you follow my content over time, you know what my values are, you know where I stand. And we shall go through the facts. I made a PowerPoint presentation. You know I'm a busy man, but we'll go through. We're talking about Fresh and Fit, also known as Amru and Walter Weeks. Let's get into it. On the itinerary, we're going to go through the following topics. Number one, Fresh and Fit, who are they? What do I know of them? Because you guys know them from the internet. I've been with them in person. What's my experience been? Number two, are they red pillars or are they innovators? Because we're no pill over on this side. You dig? Hashtag no pill. We follow the ism. Red pill's garbage. Check out my last video on why we had to crush red pill into red dust. Number three, let's go through the lessons on the beef, the business, and the friendship vis-a-vis Fresh and Fit. What are their beefs about? How are people using this to benefit their business? And we'll talk a little bit about my friendship with them. Number four, it gets juicy like your girl on a Friday night when she come by. You dig? Racism. Don't say it ain't so. Numero cinco. Do people hate the truth? We're going to talk about that, meaning the truth of what they're saying. Is that what's getting people mad? Is it the truth of who they are? We're going to talk about it. Numero seis. Fake it till you make it. Some would accuse them of doing it, but did your favorite YouTuber not fake it till they make it? Because if we go ahead and pull people's cards, I think I'm the only one that's holding all aces. Most of the people you follow weren't a damn thing before YouTube. Let's keep it funky. Carrying on. Numero siete. Why you're Fresh and Fit having so many issues? It seems like every week it's a new damn problem. We'll talk about it. Numero ocho. Ocho. Same way my girl shaped. You dig? Number nine. Can Fresh and Fit be canceled? Lord knows people have tried. The underlying thing there. If they can't be canceled, well, what about them trying to cancel other people? We talking about the copyright strikes. And number 10, it's wartime. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yes. So that's what's on our itinerary for the day. Well, Saints, how's that sound to you guys? Does that sound like a good plan? I think it does.
We have Dimitri's intuition, and then we have Key asks what hat you're wearing.
Shout out to Key. The gentleman has taste. I've done you the favor of linking it in the description. So if you haven't refreshed your browser, you'll see it linked in the description. You can get it at mdblabel.com. And it's actually really low cost. I'm going to increase the price when I get some time. I've just been busy. So the first thing, I always like to go to the root of things. How did I meet Fresh and Fit, so to speak? And similar to a lot of folks, I met Fresh and Fit via Fresh, which is to say a gentleman named Walter Weeks, which, by the way, side note, Walter Weeks is a very Anglo-Saxon sounding name, right? I saw the name Walter Weeks. He seems like an old white gentleman, right? Anyways, so I got a DM from Walter. And as you guys know, I'm not big into social media or internet stuff, any of that. Your boy got off the porch. I'm more a real life person, so I don't really monitor my online stuff. So he had messaged me in September of 2020. And just for the record, I didn't even tell him that I was sharing this personal private conversation. And just to let you guys know, in terms of decorum, it's not proper to share private conversations, but I'm going to do this anyways, just for you guys, because I want you to understand the root of how we came to know one another. So he sent a simple message, which very much so sounds like him. Yo, bro, just tune into your channel. Got to say, real, recognize real. Would love to have you on the podcast in Miami. And I sent that in September. I didn't reply till December. So then I responded a couple months later. And first I checked out to see who he is. And I saw their podcast at the time. Maybe he had 10 to 17,000 subscribers. I can't remember. Maybe at the time I had like 50,000. Very strong following. But what I liked about these guys is that, one, they were hustling hard. They were on the come up. They're very professional about their work. And me, I've always been one to respect hustle because I am a hustler. You dig? So I really like that, to see some young brothers trying to make it. And if I can help someone, I'm always willing to do that. So basically I said, yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to come out. I brought my assistant with me, you heard me? So I show up, you heard me, with a model. She actually, if you saw that Tyler the Creator video, she's the model in there. You heard me? So I pull up with this tall, skinny, little half white, half Asian thing. And then I had to pay for my assistant's accommodations and flight, which means I lost money being out there. And of course, my time is highly valuable. But as I said, I always have respected people who hustle. And when you're a mature man in a strong position, it's always good to reach out and help other people. And so I was very much so interested to do that. So I said, yeah, for sure. I show up. So I just showed up, me and my assistant, we pull up, we do the show. They're very professional. And just to give you some context on how things have grown really rapidly for these guys, when I went on their show, they got the highest number of live viewers ever, which was basically my following showing peace to the saints, you dig? So that was the start of my relationship with Fresh and Fit. And obviously it started with my interaction with Walter. I met Fit, also known as Amru. I think that's his government name. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sensitive about pronouncing names correctly. So I met him at the studio. What you should understand about these two is that, Walter is very personable, very friendly guy. He does the networking, and he's a consummate master networker. In fact, he's maybe one of the top 3 networkers I've ever met. And I know people around the world who operate at a high level. Then I met Fit, who's not as personable. Picked me up from the airport in a nice little BMW truck. Your boy was wearing an Islamic thobe, if you know what that is. So me and my assistant hop in the car. They took us to the hotel. We checked in. Then we had to drop my assistant off at her hotel. I don't mix business and pleasure. You did keep it separate. And then we went to the studio, did our recordings. And this is before they discovered their magic formula. And I'm a business guy. I'm an international businessman, you dig? And what I always teach you guys in business is that you got to try new things to be successful. So this is before they discovered the magic of bringing all them hoes through. You heard me? They figured out if you could get the hoe train going through, choo-choo, guys are going to show up, because most males are base and they're driven by their lower head, you dig? So this is before they figured that out. So let's talk a little bit about the 2 personalities.
Real quick, we have M. Chavez at Peace of the Saints. Just finished your book. Thank you for you're willing to put out your past in writing. Salutes.
Thank you. Sincerity, you dig? That's why I love to see them baller alerts, because when you got enough to give, it says a lot about you, not only your heart, but also your finances. So I love to see that. What you'll see here is 2 photos. I'm going to go through Walter, and then we're going to go through Amru, or Fit, also known as Myron Gaines. And number one thing I like about this is I got to see the growth of the gentleman. We all have things we want to be and things we want to achieve. And one thing I could say that's consistent about Walter Weeks is this guy is humble. This boy know how to network. And I think those 2 first things, being humble and friendly, help him be an effective networker. People tend to trust him and want to mess with him because he seems like a straightforward, calm, good guy. That's my experience of him. So that's Walter. One thing you can observe in this photo that I noticed changed about Walter, you see he got the ice on, and I like to see it. And I saw him in his element. I was there for the 500K subscriber party. We went out to the club in Miami. The boy threw the ice on. He threw the Louis jacket on. Now, me, I'm not big into wearing other people's brands. That's not my thing. But I like to see the ice. I like to see him in his element. He is having a good time. Now, remember that, because there's a fascinating pairing between Amru and Walter, or Fresh and Fit, because they actually are radically different individuals at their core. Now, carrying on to the side of Fit, my understanding is his proper name is pronounced Amru. He goes by Myron Gaines. You might say, well, that's phony. Why is he going by a fake name? I totally understand. That's a good question. By the way, most of your favorite internet guys do that. Has an Islamic background. My understanding is that he's Sudanese by ethnicity. He's had a background in law enforcement. And truth be told, who would have thought I'd ever be fucking with the police? You heard me? Not how I was brought up. Number 4, this I feel like is a quintessentially Myron Gaines, aka Fit. He wore a branded Fresh and Fit t-shirt to the club. Everybody dressed up, Fresh wearing the jewels. I got a little something on too. I'm wearing bright, crazy colors. Everybody lit. This man then showed up in a Fresh and Fit t-shirt. Now, what that tells you is he don't give a goddamn what anybody thinks. because I can only imagine he knows that that's not necessarily club attire. He comes in, he's promoting the brand, he's there on business, he's working. And I can respect that ethic because I had that same ethic for many years, which is to say, I go in, I'm hustling, I'm trying to get things done. You dig? I'm not there to play. And one thing that I'm pretty confident is true of both of them, correct me if I'm wrong. See, I don't drink alcohol, never drank a drop of alcohol, and I don't intend to. I don't think either of them drink. There were bottles at the table that were ordered, but I don't think either of them drank any. So you got to see the higher level of business operation that I respect. Number 5, this motherfucker had an Apple iWatch on, which I was like, God damn, this nigga don't care about nothing and nobody. The nigga got the nerd watch. And for the real ones, if you want to know, is Marquette what he really says? I wrote a book, My Life, age 0 to 25. It's entitled The Black Box. About 300 reviews, all 5 stars, real reviews from real people. And I use legal names in the book, and I tell you who I really am, you dig? So if you want to know if I'm fiaishal to the gristle, yeah, that's the document. Shout out to Richard, who also copped the hat, you dig? Y'all trying to get fresh out here. And let me teach you all something. If you ever hate a man that you never met, you hate a man you never shook his hand, that's your own mental illness. Just being real out here. That's mentally ill. Shout out to Mark, he copped the hat, you dig? We about to have the world a little bit fresher. You dig? The world about to be a little bit fresher now. It's a beautiful thing. So imitation is something that occurs when you have success. And here's the 4th thing. And here's a couple nerds you guys have seen on the come up. Literally, there's a whole industry that has come out of making videos about fresh and fit. And I ain't gonna name no names, but if you want to send in a super chat $30 plus, I might address it. I ain't gonna name no names though. But you got people who all they do is talk about gossip. All they do is talk about Fresh and Fit's latest blunder. Oh, yo, did you guys see that Fresh and Fit talked about black women? Did you guys see that Fresh and Fit? Did you see that Fresh and Fit? It's like, God damn, y'all ain't got no other content. You don't have any topic but Fresh and Fit. You guys are losers. So I say that to express when you achieve success, people want fame off of your name. Further, they also want money. Consider this. Now let's start off with the first thing. And this kills me. And you know, the reason I speak on this is because this can happen to any of us. You get a little bit of bread together, all of a sudden these hoes want to hashtag me too. Now consider this. This chick I find to be disgusting because number 1, she lied and tried to portray Myron in a certain light without sharing all the text messages. She shares some of them. The reason I got to speak up on it is because she even got so ridiculous that she was like, I'm pregnant and I'm losing my baby. Like my baby might not survive. And I know it's because of the stress. And I'm stressed because Myron and all of his followers keep bothering me. Well, first off, ho, where's your baby daddy at? Like, I'm looking at your IG and I see you showing all these pics of you being pregnant. But where's the father of your child at? Like, are you married? Like, where's the father of your child? Further, if Myron asked you if you were single and you said you were single, how is it you're single, but you popping up pregnant? You's a brain dead little nut. I hope nobody is following this harlot. Further, why are you going to try to Harvey Weinstein the young man? He told you what it was off the rip, which gives you the opportunity as a female, as an adult woman, to say, I'm in or I'm out. But what you tried to do was get a little bit of fame and build a name off of what you could claim, which is why you made up, trumped up stories trying to get famous. This happens all the time. I find it to be disgusting. And let me let you guys know how you know you're talking with a real one. Consider this. The big homie go way back. Check all the moves I make. Super thoughtful. Number 1, I was messing with Fresh and Fit when they had like 10,000 to 17,000 subs. They're way smaller than me. You got people like this, or people who are watching who don't realize when I made my video about KS, I did that before he blew up. I called the fraud early. And the same thing, everything I'm doing is early. So it's not like I'm trying to chase clout. People will go on that video now and they'll say, you're trying to chase clout off of Kevin Samuels. I'm like, how? I had more patrons than him when I made the video. He wasn't famous when I made the video. Use your brain. We're about to get into ideology. You did? Because within Assassin, we follow this ism. And this ism is the truest game that'll lead you to prosperity and morality. You see, and what's greater than the fact that we have the ism, it's an integrated ideology, way of identifying, way of behaving. And there's also a community and a headquarters. Red pill is just a bunch of garbage. So a lot of people are like, hey, Marquette, I know you don't like the red pill. So you made a video against red pill and it hurt my feelings. And I know that you're friends with Fresh and Fit. You went on their show and you didn't say anything about red pill. Do your research, little buddy. If you go all the way back to the first time I was on their show, they said, well, what do you think about RP? I'm so like out in the world with it. I said, what's RP? I didn't even know what it meant. And then they're like, red pill. I was like, oh, okay. And here's the thing, we're no pill. I never messed with it. I've been consistent from the beginning all the way to the ending. That being said, we're no pill because A, we don't engage in intoxicants. We don't promote intoxicants. Further, red pill is garbage. Look at my latest video that explains why red pill is complete rubbish. Now, another thing I want to mention to you guys is that people have said goofy things, and some of these people may have been supporters of Fresh and Fit. Shout out. But what I always encourage you is not to be a goddamn fool. So consider this. People have said to me, Marquette, I saw you did a podcast. It looks just like Fresh and Fit's podcast. How could you do that? You're copying them. You're a copycat. You're a copycat. Now, let me teach you something. Number one, I'm a businessman. If you had to describe me, if I drop dead and in the news, they had to mention that, they wouldn't say, YouTuber Marquette Devon Burton, known as the Saint in the Center. No. They would say international businessman, graduate of top 20 universities, distinguished alumnus of the Johns Hopkins University, international businessman with offices in South Korea, Puerto Rico, 17 offices throughout the United States, well-traveled. They mentioned real things. You did. I say that to say this. As a businessman, when you're in a market, you look at the leaders in the market, meaning who is thriving. When you identify who is thriving, you identify what's called their unique value add or their unique value proposition, meaning what are they doing differently that's making them successful above and beyond everyone else. In their case, it's twofold. Number one is they're putting out tremendous amount of content. They're prolific. Honestly, I couldn't put out as much content as they do because your boy got to fly to Mexico to have a mariachi suit custom made. Then I got to fly to Dubai to have a suit custom made. You hear me? Then I got to fly to Albania to see what the Albanian hoes is talking about. Then I got to fly to Africa to touch down in the homeland because y'all said I don't like black women, so I got to go get them from the source. You dig? Then I got to fly to this private island don't nobody know about on a private plane. I ain't got time like that. So number one, they're way more prolific. It's a beautiful thing. You have to admire work ethic. Number two, they had a model that was not unique, but it was unique on YouTube, and they executed with excellence. That is to bring on a whole bunch of hoes, a whole bunch of harlots, and dog these hoes out and create some interesting moments and some great conversations that expose female nature, but also gets a chance for the red pill ragers to get their rocks off, to see good-looking women disrespected. And it's very entertaining. Hell, I watch it. I damn sure watch the clips when they kicking hoes out. I like to see it. But let me help you dummies out. Now, this is the wisdom of a man who's had experience and had the chance to see the earth spin around a couple times. Let me tell you young boys something. What is Fresh and Fit really? Someone's like, Marquette, you disrespected red pill. How could you do that? Fresh and Fit or red pill? Well, number one, nah. If you really want to understand Fresh and Fit, you need to understand them as innovators in YouTube. They're not red pill. They say red pill things, but they're not famous because of the red pill. If they were famous for red pill, that one dude who looks like a whole child molester, no disrespect, but the dude looks weird. That one dude, he'd be famous if red pill made you famous, but he's not famous. And he ain't got no hoes and he ain't got no money. Let's keep it real here. They're famous because of the following combination. Now, one, did they create things that have never been created? Hell nah. But they brought together some meaningful pieces of the puzzle. It's called innovation. I'm going to describe it for the people who are brain dead. Number one, look in that bottom corner. It says controversy/conflict, Jerry Springer. You see some hoes fighting right there. You see them 304s arguing and fighting. Jerry Springer just hanging back, holding a mic like, carry on, make me famous, get them ratings up, baby. So number one, when you have controversy and conflict, this appeals to the average mind because the average mind is brain dead. They just want to be entertained. They want to laugh and they want to look down at people. I'm like, oh, those people are crazy. Those people are ridiculous. So they brought in the Jerry Springer aspect. That was clever. But then they did a little bit better. They became Howard Stern. Most of you youngins don't know about Howard Stern because he come from an old era. He was the first guy that did podcasts before podcasts. It was called radio, you dumb bastard. It's called radio. It's broadcasted over frequency, you dumb bastard. Now, radio is where you actually talk into a microphone, kind of like a podcast, right? And then he used to have females there. He'd ask them questions about sex. He used to have porn stars. He'd have multiple women. He'd say foul stuff to them. He'd ask them what kind of size men they like. How tall does the guy have to be? Who do they date? The exact same thing. Howard Stern originated that concept, and guess what? That's what made him famous. Then they brought in another necessary piece, which everyone does, but they were able to stack it on top of those other pieces. Those first two pieces get the views. It brings in audience. This last piece brings in the money. Well, of course, they get the money from the views because they run ads on the channel, which is smart business, but then they can sell you educational products. They went into the how-to, self-help, self-improvement education space, like a life coach or a dating coach, like Tony Robbins. So they brought in the education. Hey, if you want to learn how to do fill in the blank, real estate, NFTs, Instagram, whatever the case is, we sell it. You can buy it here. That was smart. And then the red pill, that's just a small part of what they do. It's language because certain terms get you to come in because you're familiar.
Okay, we have King said, peace to the saint. You
Peace
got to
to the
work
saints.
with Black Heights. That's the one that's in $100. He said those are the type of collabs we need to see.
It may be possible. It may be possible. Now, do you guys understand what I just broke down? Because you will rarely get anything this insightful on the internet, because people with this level of IQ don't need the internet because they already got money without the internet. Carrying on.
Shout out to the 3 people that just bought the black box. I just can see their emails right now, but
shout out to the people copping the black box. You want to know how a real one came up? And by the way, I came out the mud. I came from the bottom, and got the bag popping in my early 20s. Now, as I said, success leads to imitation. Here's a look at me imitating, saying, how can I use this model? This model's genius. Bring some hoes through. Let's get this going. Me and my partner Jabrizi, we on here. We got some hoes through, and we gonna tweak the model. We gonna improve it, because just like Drake said, it's not about who did it first. It's about who did it best. You did. So yeah, we gonna do it. I heard a nerd in the comments. Not I heard, but I read a nerd in the comments who wrote, I hope you called Fresh and Fit before you did this. No, absolutely not, because it's business. You see, I'm not gonna call them and tell them what my business move is. Not necessary, because whether they say yes or no, I'm doing it anyways, because I'm the big homie. You did. Let that never get confused. Further, if they copy something that I did, which I'm sure they may have learned something from me when I was there the first time I was there, sharing the game that I had on Patreon, on Super Chats and things like that, and showing how I move, right? So if you have friends, birds of a feather flock together, if you're not learning things from your successful friends, you're an imbecile. You really are. And you don't understand business. So this is me leveraging their model and seeing how I could tweak it and make it my own. Because understand this, no one can do what Fresh and Fit does, because they're not fresh and fit, which is to say, you're not going to see me kicking females out, because that's not my nature. I'm not going to kick the broad out. That's not how I get down. That's not me. So if you want to see that, you got to go to Fresh and Fit. That's a unique value add that they offer. But in terms of kicking game and spitting game and enchanting a woman, you heard me, and wrapping those words around her, yeah, ain't nobody can do that like I do that. Nobody. Because they don't have the experience. I really live this. And in terms of actually having bad females on a consistent basis and you slaying them left and right, Jabrizi really lived like that. You heard me? So we're doing something and they're doing something, but we imitated the model because it's a great model. But they didn't innovate. They didn't create the model. They brought a model that already previously existed, and we're learning from them. And you should probably try to do the same. But here's the thing. A good man, you might imitate it and you show love and respect. But most people couldn't imitate it. They started to hate it. They saw these dudes winning. They decided rather than imitating, they started hating. And that's evil. The hatred unmotivated is evil, especially if it doesn't have an ideological basis or any real reason for it.
Okay, we have Montreal Hudson said, love is always quiet. It's been a while since I've caught a live. I hope all is prosperous with you as well. Bridget, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. You heard me? Now we got to talk about it. We talking about these black women. Well, really, we talking about what Fresh and Fit said about the black women. Now, number one, when I heard the clip, as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, damn. Yeah, people are for sure about to hop on this one. My boy was in there like, Lakeisha? Sharkeisha? What did he say? Laquita? Did you hear it?
I didn't.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Now, number one, I must say there's a couple things to consider. Firstly, as friends, if I was talking to the gentleman, would I advise them to be more strategic in how you talk about entire demographics of human beings? For sure, absolutely. Do I understand how they may have made that error? Yeah. Are we in the entertainment business? Was that entertaining? Absolutely. Were they being honest about how they feel and what their preference is? For sure. Which makes me ask, well, do people hate the truth? For sure, people hate the truth. You see, the truth in our society is undervalued. If they actually don't like Black women, and I'm not saying that's the case, but let's say they don't, and then they express that out of their mouth, that's their truth. Why can't we say, hey, brother, live your truth? Instead, we have to punish them for being honest. We live in a strange society where you get mad at people for saying how they feel. Then you turn around and wonder, why do the politicians always lie to us? Because you can't handle the truth. Huh? Now, you might ask, Marquette, why do you have an image on your screen that says, Sharkeisha, no! Sharkeisha, no! Sharkeisha, quit hitting her! Well, there's a reason. Now, so you might be wondering, Marquette, why does it say Sharkeisha, no? Number one, this is one of the funniest goddamn videos I've ever seen. It's funny because her name is Sharkeisha. I ain't gonna lie to you, that shit funny to me. It's also funny because the woman was so the shorty was like, Sharkeisha, no! Now, why do I bring this up?
Real quick, is that shirt still for sale?
Yeah, it is.
We have Mozart G, so where can I purchase that shirt?
Okay, let me give some people some time to hit the like button or send intuition while we do that.
So while you're looking that up, we have Ricardo, who's a true follower. He said, tuition for the knowledge and the presentation. Receiving my backpack briefcase tomorrow. Can't wait. Absolutely.
If you guys don't know about that backpack briefcase, link is in the description.
That was quick shipping to Canada too.
Indeed. Super playerism going on.
We have Tyree asked if there's a Patreon. Tyree, I will put that in the chat for you.
Not only is there a Patreon, it's the greatest Patreon that you've ever seen in life, my boy. I say that humbly somehow. It is the greatest Patreon you've seen in life. So the reason we have these two females is because one of them is Sharkeisha, and Sharkeisha lit. You might even say that Sharkeisha is behaving aggressively like a shark. I'm just saying. So Sharkeisha is about to, she pulled up and she's trying to sucker punch Shorty. These are two different types of Black females. One of them is clearly super hood. Not the kind of chick I would date. She the kind of chick who's going to end up on welfare. She going to be at Food for Less, selling her food stamps, you hear me? Slanging EBT cards, trying to give you the 2-for-1 deals out there. What I'm saying is she's a lower class ghetto Black female. This other African-American young lady, she seemed like a perfectly good, sweet kid. Here she is holding her iPod. She probably ain't got her bread game right because I see she got the cord earphones. You heard me? She ain't got her money to get them AirPods. It's all good, though. She got a backpack on, which indicates that she went to school that day. Sharkeisha ain't got her backpack on, and Sharkeisha lit because she got a beanie on and shorts. Who wears a beanie and shorts? A beanie indicates it's cold outside. It's winter. A short indicates it's hot outside. It's summer. This broad is a nut. She probably is a hair-hatted hooligan and ain't got her wig on. That's why she got the beanie on. I say that to say, there are different kinds of Black women in this world. There's the lower class Black woman who is completely unruly because she's not had any guidance from a good father, which would have been a Black man. So anytime you see a Black female in disrepair, let you not deny the reality that is because the Black male is in disrepair. When you see women of every race in this modern era running around lawless, running around brain dead and clueless, exercising no morality, that is because males have failed, and males have failed to step up as men. That's number one.
Okay, we have the diet vendor who said the backpack briefcase is even more impressive when it's in your hands, guys. Grab that while it's there.
True indeed.
And they're going, and
indeed.
It's a one run.
One run. Now, this other African-American young lady, she got on some glasses, so she's trying to see stuff. She's sitting in class trying to actually see what's written on the board. She got a backpack. She done went to school that day, and she's a little bit naive because she's looking at the camera, not realizing the person holding the camera is about to yell out, "World Star!" and your lights are about to get knocked out in front of the whole planet Earth. But have no fear, we call this evidence and dry snitching. So Sharkeisha dumbass is about to go to jail. Now you might ask yourself, Marquette, why did you go off on a rant on Sharkeisha? Why'd you do that, buddy? Well, the reason that I did that is because these two females represent different archetypes in the Black female's existence. One is a ghetto, unruly, violent, disrespectful, downtrodden little. The other one has a lot of potential to grow up and be a good mother, a good wife, and contribute to society. I say that to say, when these guys are using the terminology of like Sharkeisha and LaQuisha and all this stuff, what they're essentially trying to allude to is the idea of A, the lower class Black female, B, the ghetto Black female, things like that. Now, one thing I will point out from a cultural standpoint is that those are ethnic names. Those are names that are quintessentially African American. I happen to know my name is Marquette, which is an African American name, which is to say there's nothing wrong with having culturally unique names. I mean, we should be proud for every other name or culture has their own names, right? You don't meet a guy from India named Bobby or John. So I get that we should have our own names. And I also get the perspective of Fresh and Fit, which is they're essentially saying we don't like ghetto Black chicks, and we think most of them are. So that's the controversial part. Is that true? Now, you guys might be sitting back there like the hater we heard from earlier. And by the way, have I ever seen a hater who wasn't broke? Never in life. Every time I see a hater, they're broke. I've never been hated on by a wealthy man. But since they be questioning my credentials, like Marquette doesn't like Black women, bruh, I got them in flavors. You heard me? I didn't have them in flavors since I was a kid. Let me pull some pictures out for y'all because they talk about receipts. This when I was in high school. This is a little thing. You heard me? Little thing with the braids. I like braids. I ain't gonna front. You heard me? I like when they be braided up. This was I went to homecoming twice. This is a little thing. She's so thick. Her name Kiki. Kiki, where you at, baby? She's so thick. This one right here. You heard me? Hopefully she pulled back up. These is two little Black things I like. And, I like them dark. I like them caramel. I like them all the way around. You feel me? The one on the right side, I tried to holler at, but I was too hood in high school. She was a good girl. She wouldn't mess with me because I was too hood. You heard me? So she used to shut your boy down. The other one likes girls now, but she was on me tough at the time. She liked girls and she liked Marquette. You dig? But her best friend liked me too, so I couldn't holler. It get like that sometimes. These some beautiful sisters from university, as your boy was maturing in age. We got the brown skins too. This my little thing I grew up with. Shout out to Benny. She's a bad B. That's what y'all call them, right? Bad B? Yeah, that's what y'all call them. Yeah, so I be out here, man. Then I like them lips, and you ain't gonna find lips like that unless they African American, you dig? Unless they Black. They got that African genetics. You heard me? The other ones be trying to get them lip fillers.
He said, peace to the big homie. Shout out to you for being a loyal friend and have integrity in defending F&F.
If you have friends, you won't agree with everything that your friends do or say. Now, me, I can only live based on my culture. And in my culture, you don't snitch on your friends. You don't rat on your friends. You don't fail to come to your friend's aid if that's how they keep it with you. You see, within the 3 Cents Bible, be yourself, be good to yourself, be good to good people. You got to verify that someone's a good person. Now, if you have someone that you deal with and they've always been good to you, can you discount them based on what they did to someone else when you can't verify that story and you just don't know? So no, I'm not going to disrespect them.
I think he means peace to the saints. He said, here to drop a jewel and some knowledge to the nation. Lana Wachowski has confirmed the red pill is literally estrogen. Not only that, Premarin was super commonly prescribed to trans women up through the late 90s when The Matrix was made. Yikes.
And you know what, Saints? Let me give you like another just small nugget of advice, because you're going to have situations with your friends. Consider this. Say one of your friends or your allies comes into an issue. They have an issue with somebody. You could stand back and say, oh, I'm going to be neutral. People who see you not coming to the aid of your friends, you saying you're going to be neutral and stay out of it, they know that you're not a real one. They know that if they ever become friends with you, you're not going to support them because you don't have loyalty, right? So they're never going to consider you to be someone they want to link up with because you don't ride for your homies. Now, if you ride for your people, whether they lose, win, or draw, even the person you rode against will have to respect you because they'll say, hey, that's his man. He rode with his man. And in my book, The Black Box, I talk about real life situations like this so you can understand that this stuff has meaning. You did. And me, like, I come from a different breed because, as I said, I got off the porch early. So my OGs put me on game at a young age. So even when I was in high school, you can read in my book, there was a situation in which I was in class and a kid yelled out a slur at the teacher. And the teacher turned around and he thought it was me. And it wasn't me. But I didn't snitch on the dude who said it, even though he wasn't even a friend of mine. But I knew in my head, what does it look like that the hustler is going to snitch on this little nerd civilian who said this comment? And it did cost me. I wasn't able to go on field trips because this teacher wouldn't sign the permission slip for me to go on field trips and things like that. So yeah, I suffered, but it's about who you are as a man. You got to be a stand-up man. You don't rat and snitch on your people. You don't rat and snitch in general. You keep it solid and you be loyal. Now, if your people betray you, that's a different thing. Or if your people are indiscriminate murderers, meaning they just kill people indiscriminately, or if they commit sex crimes, that's a different thing. But all beyond that, if they're good to you, show them love.
Someone did ask if you have a personal chef. So we do have your diet on Patreon.
Yes. In fact, because I am in A1 physical condition, just side note, not to brag, but just to let you guys know, a lot of people say that they're in shape, but they're really not. If you can't hit 30 pull-ups and then box 12 rounds and then run 13 miles and then jump rope for 15 minutes, back to back to back to back, I don't consider you in shape. You dig? So I could do all that on an empty stomach, by the way. But if you want to learn about how to eat well for true physical fitness, endurance, and muscular strength, definitely get that membership on Patreon. I have my exercise regimen on there. And most importantly, I have my diet with the actual recipes. And it's a Google Doc, so it's updated regularly.
Okay, we have Brandon Banks. He sent $100.
Hey, I appreciate that. And he's a real one because he's willing to have his thinking challenged. Most people just want to make up their mind and stick with what they already think.
You already read what it was.
Indeed, I did. I do want to talk about the one time that Fresh and Fit pissed me off. Pissed me the fuck off. I'll never forget it. So last time I went in there for the 500K subscriber party, I think they knew I was pissed too. And I'm going to tell you the story. Number one, and let's talk some playerism, you dig? The first time I pulled up with Fresh and Fit, I pulled up with a model. That's cool. Second time I pulled up in their city. We ain't in my city. We in their city. Pretty little thing come meet me at the airport. Then Fresh comes and picks us up. You know, he got his little female. I got a little son with me. You dig? Playerism. So then we go to the studio. We go straight from the airport. Now, mind you, I flew in from Vegas. So I came in on like a 5-hour flight. And because of COVID, because of the pandemic, they weren't serving food. Because apparently if you serve food, everyone's going to get sick. I thought people start to become unhealthy when they don't eat. Anyways, so they didn't serve any food during this 5-hour flight. We go straight to the studio and we do the initial interview one-on-one. I've been eating a damn thing. We do a 3-hour one-on-one, however long it was. Then all the females show up, and then we do like another couple hours with all the females. And I had to give out some serious game. If you ain't watched that, that's a master at work. You did. So your boy hadn't eaten for like 13 hours. To say I was PO'd would be an understatement. That's my biggest gripe I've ever had with Fresh and Fit. Now, granted, Myron did take me out to eat after that. A set down, the four of us, we had something to eat. But that's my biggest gripe. And I'm still not pleased with it. Hey, get your goddamn shit together. So that's that. But truth be told, one of them females around there should have took care of that. And that's one thing we teach within the Assassin, which is the idea that as a woman, you need to make sure that a man eats every 4 hours. You should be asking him, are you hungry? Can I get you some food? Make sure that man eats every 4 hours. And that's why we teach culture, because sometimes they ain't got it from their father or from the culture that they're within. You dig? That's my biggest complaint with the gentleman. You dig? I was hungry. Beyond that, there's no other unfortunate experience that I've had with them, and there's nothing I could complain about. As far as I can see, they seem to be good businessmen. They speak their mind honestly. Have they had some instances in which I was like, that doesn't sound like the truth? Oh, absolutely. But all in all, I think that if we're being honest and being human, can we admit that all of us have said some things that are not entirely true? For sure. But there's levels to it. I get that. If there's anything else, my presentation is complete. If there's anything else you want me to address about these gentlemen, go ahead and send in your question via Cash App, Super Chat, or PayPal. Now, what you'll notice is that The world is bored. Consider this. If you ever look at Google trending, meaning it shows you what searches are people commonly looking at. The most common Google searches are sports related. Who won the soccer game? Who won the basketball football game? So that lets you know that humankind is bored. The reason you see Fresh and Fit on so many different platforms is because they're giving you guys exciting things to talk about. Because most YouTubers don't have an intellect, so they can't give you ideas because they don't have ideas. So they can only give you criticism, which is a very low level thing. It has been stated that those who are high IQ talk about ideas. Those who are low IQ talk about people. It's called gossip. And that's why so many people are trying to make a name or gain a buck by talking about Fresh and Fit, when really they should say thank you, because Fresh and Fit gave them a payday. You did.
You have Zenaria, he said, peace to the saints, tuition. My black side of the family actually thinks I dislike black women. My mom, female cousins, etc. I seem to attract black women mostly. However, these good looks bring them all. Speaking 4 languages don't hurt either.
You did. Hey man, ain't nothing wrong about letting them know what it is. And I actually know the gentleman. I had the good pleasure of speaking with him on a consultation. Man, the Saints' hair is lovely. You know, no homo. It's super player, pimp, hooray. And I'm sure a lot of females see his hair and wish their hair looked like his. I'm talking about some super old school playerism. You seen the Bee Gees, them cats that sing that song? Ha, 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 stand alive, stand alive. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah.
Okay, we have Steamrolling. He said, pop and presentation. Cancel culture is cancerous.
Oh, true indeed. And the funny thing is people don't realize that they can't cancel Fresh and Fit because they actually need Fresh and Fit, because without them, they'd have nothing to talk about. And Fresh and Fit are unique in that they're actually saying what is true to their heart. And the funny thing is that I've even seen people say, oh, yeah, you know, Fresh is socially incompetent. Like, he doesn't have like a social awareness. Well, are you saying that because he was honest? When you say social awareness, what you really mean is he should lie and sugarcoat what he's saying to make it palatable for average people. So people mostly don't respect honesty. And that's kind of the problem of our time. They say they want the truth, but they can't handle the truth.
He said, peace to the saints. My brother, how can I broaden my vocabulary?
Number one, what I would do when I read, and especially my younger days, I used to read a tremendous amount. And I didn't read anything. I read all of the books that were highly practical for either inspiring me or teaching me practical professional skills. And anytime I'd encounter a word that I did not know, I'd write it down and then I'd use it in context in a sentence that made sense for my life. Then I'd record it on audio and I'd listen to those audios. So for example, if the word was obsequious, which is to say like having like a being servile or having like a slavish, response to someone, I would create a sentence, record it on audio, and I would listen to myself using that in context. So that's the key to building and retaining vocabulary. But at the end of the day, what I always tell the saints is that more than building vocabulary and being well-spoken, be good at delivering the goods. Activity gets the job done. And consider this. Let's look at Walter Weeks, for example. He stutters and is on a podcast. That's quite an amazing feat. And that's why I find it funny that people will insult Fresh and Fit, not realizing that for someone who stutters and has a speech impediment to do a podcast and put themselves out to the public is actually a very brave, respectable thing. Because there are a lot of people who don't stutter who are scared to go before the public and bare their soul in front of strangers. And so the fact that he's able to do that while stuttering and be successful at it, you might have to tip your hat to the young brother. You did. But instead, people would rather hate and crack jokes. And guess who's busy cracking jokes? Is the broke people who are jealous. People who are successful, they understand what it takes to do work and to deliver goods. And so we admire it because they're a peer, they're a colleague. But people below tend to just sneer and think that they're a jester.
Okay, we have Ed Abundance. He said, Saint, have you tried intermittent fasting? No, he has not.
Correct. I try to make sure that I eat every 4 hours. I stick to small meals so that even right after I eat, if I needed to throw hands, I could. I don't feel slowed down by my meal. Every now and then, somebody might show up with some jerk chicken, you heard me, or they might show up with some carne asada French fries, and I can't help myself. But generally, I try to stick to the small meals.
Who would do that?
That's, I know, right? That's the way it goes.
We have Vic's Ball. He said, Bridget had no idea which song you were singing, plus 10 white points. I did let him know I did know that song.
The white points have been earned.
I do get white points, though, for some things. We have Maurice Hertz at Peace of the Saints. Just have to say this because too many people in the chat are getting this wrong. Miss B is not white. She's Ethiopian, more African than you.
So here's the thing. I've had a lot of females in front of the camera and behind the camera. Often you guys are getting them confused. So that's Bridget. That's not Mrs. B. Mrs. B actually, if you want to hear about Mrs. B, you're going to have to become a member at patreon.com/the Saint in the Center, because there's some crazy stories. But yes, you're correct. She's East African, Ethiopian, Habesha. She is indeed from the continent.
Okay, this is Fully second super chat. I think he's at $40 now. He said, quick question. What's your thought on the copyright strikes
Thank you.
has been throwing out at other YouTubers?
I'm glad you asked me that, because I meant to address it. It actually slipped my mind. So consider this. The first thing that people forget when they start to consider you a public figure is it's like they forget that you have feelings, right? I first want you to just consider this, gentlemen. Imagine you went on the internet one day and you saw that there were over 50 videos about you, and they were all slandering you, or even if they were telling the truth about you, they were all insulting. How would you feel if there were 50 videos, 50 different people all insulting you, and there were hundreds of thousands of views on the video? So people are spreading a message about you that you have no control over, a hurtful message, I presume, and even beyond it hurting your feelings, it was a message that's hurting your brand and probably at some point impairing your ability to effectively do business. Well, I surmise you do anything you could to counter that effort, and you should. So I think that their copyright strike effort was pretty low key and it was pretty clever. It didn't work and it backfired, not because it wasn't a good strategy. It backfired because Abba and Preach are evil geniuses, especially Abba, the East African cat. I don't know if he's Ethiopian or Somali, but he got to be like one or the other, from Djibouti, something like that. But that brother is sharp. Let me be clear. That brother has a very high IQ and he has particular gifts in the way of humor and comedy. I understand he's a stand-up comedian and he has A1 brains. There are very few people on the internet that I will give that compliment to, but that brother is sharp. He's very clever, and he was extremely strategic in taking the internet itself and turning it against Fresh and Fit, and even more profiting from that whole process. Because consider this. Their channel had reached an asymptote. It essentially stopped growing and started to plateau. Even though it was a big channel, it just wasn't getting as much reach. So they went on the Fresh and Fit podcast to see if they could scoop up some more views and expand their audience, which they were able to do. And then after that, they turned around and kind of did a roasting video on Fresh and Fit. And I actually have another video specifically about this topic. But consider this. I know how Fresh and Fit treated them because I know how they treated me as a celebrity guest when I went to their town. They pick you up from the airport. The second time, these motherfuckers didn't take me to eat. So, hey, y'all owe me some jerk chicken. But they pick you up from the airport. They take you to eat. They show you love. They take you out on the town in the evening, take you to the club, show you a good time, whatever you like. That being said, it's like they took you to their home, right? Like, just imagine somebody coming into your home and they get your mother's cooking. You dig? Your mama cook up some chili beans for them or whatever she make. She cook up some whatever your ethnic food is, some mofongo, what have you. And then the person leaves your house. You think everything's all good. And then they make a video disrespecting you. Like, I'd be pretty pissed if I'm being honest with you. Now, in their case, the copyright strike was an effort to remove all of the people who were A, profiting by their name, and B, dragging their name through the dirt and hurting their brand. So if you look at some of your idols like Robert Greene, who, by the way, is just a bum author who's trying to plagiarize from the great Niccolo Machiavelli, who made a masterwork entitled The Prince. And I did a 7-part series on that masterwork, which you can find at patreon.com/the Saint in the Center. But even a guy like Robert Greene would say, copyright strikes, bruh, that's devious. Like, that's low key. It's a super strong tactical piece of warfare. Now, the only thing is that it essentially backfired. But here's the thing. In life and in business, you try many things. Some work, some don't. But I think it was really smart and strategic on their part. Were they playing nice? No. But consider this. Do you play nice with your enemies? People who are trying to hurt your brand, hurt your reputation. Do you play nice with them? I tell you this. Me, if somebody's trying to do me greasy, fuck they mama, fuck they daddy, kill they pets. I want everything dead. I don't give a fuck. You heard me? If somebody's, hey, if you're a good person, I'm going to be good to good people. But if you want some smoke, I want everything dead. You heard me? In a real way. So I can't hate anybody who uses whatever tool at their disposal to get their enemies up out of there, because you ain't supposed to play nice with your enemies. So it's a very strategic, psychological marketing campaign that they're using when they're saying, they copyright striked us. Well, yeah, you talking shit about them. Would you expect them to pat you on the back? I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah, we did have someone that asked about how many calories you eat in a day. Again, he doesn't know anything about how many calories. The food is all made for him or brought to him. So, but you can find his diet on patreon.com. We have King Supreme 921 sent $100. I'll let you say it.
He writes, bro, that's the same way they should have thought about talking about black women. Oh, yeah, indeed. They should have thought about that. Shout out to the real black women, the ones who wear their hair natural. You heard me? And I love my women thick. I like the booty to shake when you walk. He writes, they have feelings too. Oh, indeed they do. He writes, no need to say what you don't like. Just shout out to what you do like. Oh, indeed, right? And as I often tell people, in life, let's keep our eyes on the prize, right? We don't have to talk about them other guys or the things we don't want. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. I think you bring up a very good point, Saint. He writes, they have sisters on the show, but talk ish about dating them, right? And it's so foul because they say it to these black women's face and they just sit there and take it. Like Puffy said, take that, take that. He writes, still, peace to the saints. Oh, agreed, Saint. I appreciate you sharing that meaningful perspective. That's a good dialogue you bring forward.
Okay, we have Olamide who said, peace to the saints. I'm currently reading the Black Box. So much game.
Thank you for sharing that, Saint. The amazing thing about the Black Box, it's all real stories. These boys out here living a cartoon, fictional, anime existence. You know, half these YouTubers used to work at the goddamn perfume counter at Macy's.
We have Ephesians. He said, more tuition. He said, great show, NDB, and all the saints need a Bridget in our life.
You probably do. You probably do. But the question is, do you know how to manage your program to get the best out of her? Oh, that's funny, huh?
I won't be managing my program.
Right. But I'm talking about metaphorically, whatever Bridget is that they encounter. If you want to figure that out, I recommend you check out the Conference 2 footage, because in that Conference 2 footage, I give a significant lecture on what is it to be a man and what should your trajectory be as a male. You know, what milestones should you be looking to achieve in life and how should you be developing yourself psychologically. And then I talk about, well, what is a female? How does she grow from a girl into a woman? What should her mindset be and what should her priorities be? And then thirdly, I tell you, okay, now we know what a man is. We know what a woman is. How do you interact effectively together? And how does the man lead that woman? You got to be worthy of leadership.
Mitch McCauley just said Conference 2 footage is something that I highly recommend.
And indeed, and it's real player because one, it's very inexpensive, and two, you get the business education. The Conference 2 footage, there's a lecture there that talks about how you can start a business for less than $500 in real life. And then also it gives you that education on the male-female relations. And by the way, Mitchell McCauley is one of the saints who's going to have his products available at www.thesasn.com. And even just today, we had guys making money on my website, some of the saints. So Andrew made more money today on his jewelry, and we're going to send that money straight to him. So we always show love out here.